10 Reasons I Love Spider-Man. Relatability. Peter Parker has had his share of hard luck over the years, and it's one of the things that makes him, and by extension Spider-Man, so relatable. Always short of cash, dogged by the press, and hounded by the police, Spider-Man always seemed to be more Charlie Brown than Superman, no matter how hard he tried. Now, marrying a supermodel does take some of the edge off of his hard luck status, but even then, it isn't enough to even things out. His relatability is one of the reasons why Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse hits so well. Everyone in their own way can be Spider-Man, and in a sense, he is everyone's hero. J. Jonah Jameson. Ah, good old JJ. A Spider-Man list wouldn't be complete without mentioning perhaps the wall crawler's greatest nemesis. Jameson hates Spider-Man, and his rants are truly epic. Chronicled first in the comics, brought to life in the 60s cartoon, and immortalized on the big screen by J.K. Simmons, J.J. Jameson's tirades have not only added a lot of humor to Spidey's exploits, but resulted in some dangerous times as well. In fact, Jameson is either directly or indirectly responsible for several threats including Scorpion, the Spider Slayers, and the Human Fly. Jameson has also hired Silver Sable and Luke Cage over the years to defeat Spider-Man. Peter, in and out of costume, has an interesting relationship with his former boss. Tensions have cooled in recent years, with Parker and Jameson becoming step-cousins after Aunt May and Jonah's dad tied the knot. Sense of humor. From Uncle Ben's death to losing Gwen Stacy, there has been a lot of tragedy in Spider-Man's life. One of the elements that makes his adventures enjoyable is his sense of humor. While his level of levity has ebbed and flowed over the years, usually depending on the creative team or story arc, Spidey is the GOAT of Marvel's comedic heroes. Nowadays, Deadpool gets a lot of shine for his offbeat sense of humor, but he owes a lot to She-Hulk from her John Byrne days. Spider-Man doesn't break the fourth wall, but he uses his wisecracks to keep his foes off guard. Sometimes the joke is on him, though, and there are plenty of examples where Spider-Man's bad luck makes him the butt of the joke. The Rogues Gallery. Spider-Man has arguably the greatest collection of villains in comics, including Batman's. The Green Goblin, Venom, and Dr. Octopus headline a seemingly endless list of iconic big bads. Classic villains like Mysterio, Sandman, Vulture, and Kraven the Hunter line up alongside newcomers like Mr. Negative, Carnage, and Morlun. Spidey's escapades have caused him to face off against practically every criminal element in the Marvel Universe. If organized crime is what you're looking for, Kingpin, Hammerhead, Tombstone, and Silvermane fit the bill. Fan faves Rhino, Hydra Man, and Shocker provide everyday mayhem, while Electro, the Jackal, Scorpion, and Lizard keep May Parker's favorite nephew busy. Spider-Man's villains are so iconic that a few of them, Venom and Morbius, have their own solo movies, and others such as the Kingpin have been co-opted to be the arch-enemies for other heroes. The supporting cast. One of the things that makes Spider-Man so great is his diverse supporting cast. From his co-workers at the Daily Bugle to his high school and college friends and his surprisingly interesting love life, Peter's world thrives due to excellent stories and deep character development. Mary Jane Watson, Aunt May, Gwen Stacy, Jameson, Betty Brant, Joe Robertson, Flash Thompson, Harry Osborn, and Felicia Hardy are just a few in a long list of characters that have played pivotal roles in Peter's life and several of Spider-Man's most important stories. Miles Morales has pushed Peter into a mentorship role, and his friendship with the Human Torch and Daredevil add another layer to their superhero adventures. The stories. Kraven's Last Hunt, The Death of Gwen Stacy, The Clone Saga, Spider-Verse, The Hobgoblin Saga, The Master Planner Saga, and Spider-Man Blue are just a few of the seminal Spider-Man stories over the years. Issues 96 to 98 of The Amazing Spider-Man were published without the Comics Code Authority seal due to Harry Osborn's drug use in the arc. There is also the poignant The Kid Who Collects Spider-Man, about a young boy with leukemia who wants to meet Spider-Man before he passes away. I haven't even touched on some of the great Marvel team-up issues by Chris Claremont and John Byrne. So much excellent Spidey, so little time. The cartoons. The fact there is a Spider-Man cartoon for every generation stretching back over 50 years is an indication of the character's popularity and cultural impact. The iconic theme song from the 60s cartoon is still the best of the bunch, and some of the Season 1 episodes are fun to watch. Spider-Man and Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends entertained kids in the 80s, and the beloved 90s series featured perhaps the most cohesive storytelling and some great animation. One of my faves is Spectacular Spider-Man, an underappreciated gem that also boasts a killer theme song. Recent entries such as Ultimate Spider-Man and Spider-Man, which debuted in 2017, have continued to spin Spidey's adventures for a new generation of kids. Iconic moments. There have been countless iconic Spider-Man moments since Amazing Fantasy 15 hit newsstands way back in 1962. Walking away with his costume in the trash, the first appearance of the symbiote costume in Secret Wars Volume 1, unmasking himself during Civil War, Gwen Stacy's death, and teaming up with Superman in the first DC Marvel crossover are all memorable. However, they all pale in comparison to perhaps the most iconic of them all, the image of Spider-Man mustering his last bit of strength to lift a massive piece of machinery after being buried underneath it. For fans of the Steve Ditko era, this sequence and image is one of the highlights. It is a seminal moment that has been referenced in an episode of Spectacular Spider-Man and Spider-Man Homecoming. Marvel's Gateway. Any serious comic book collector will tell you that The Amazing Spider-Man is perhaps the most lucrative of any of Marvel's comic book series. It's not just because it stars everyone's favorite web-slinger. It's due to the fact that it features so many first appearances for important Marvel characters. Silver Sable, Punisher, Venom, Black Cat, Morbius, Kingpin, and Cloak and Dagger are just a few to debut alongside your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. The movies. After years of success on the small screen, it took the wall crawler forever to get to the big screen. That changed with Sam Raimi's Spider-Man in 2002. Since that film, results have been mixed for Spidey's cinematic exploits, although things seem to be in good hands with Tom Holland and Disney and Sony playing nice. Spider-Man 2, a top 5 all-time superhero movie for me, just edges Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse for top spot on my Spidey movie list. As good as the MCU's Spider-Man has been, his villains can't touch Alfred Molina's Doc Ock. While the movies have been great, and I still have a soft spot for the OG live-action Spider-Man series from the 70s, tell me the 90s cartoon Peter Parker isn't based on Nicholas Hammond. I have to mention Sony's Spider-Man game for the PS4. The gameplay and story are amazing, and is as close as most of us will ever come to becoming the Amazing Spider-Man.